For the last few years, I've been trying to understand how deep reality actually goes. And I think I was starting at the wrong end. Black holes, quantum mechanics, consciousness, the beginning of the universe. Maybe to understand everything, we need to begin with almost nothing. Imagine a universe with only one direction, forward and backward, a line, one dimension. Now imagine something living in there. Place an obstacle in front of it. To us, the solution is obvious. Go around. But to this creature, there is no around. Not because it hasn't discovered it. That direction doesn't exist within its world. A new dimension doesn't simply create more space. It creates new possibilities. So give the line another direction. Sideways. A plane. 2 dimensions. Now imagine a sphere passing through it. The creature cannot see the sphere. It sees a point, then a circle, growing, shrinking, and disappearing. To the creature, something appeared from nowhere, changed and vanished. But nothing impossible happened. It simply encountered a slice of something it could not perceive in full. And that idea will matter later. Give the plane depth, and we arrive here. 3 dimensions. The world our bodies understand. Height, width, and depth. It feels complete, but perhaps only because this is the geometry we evolved to survive inside. Familiarity is not evidence of completeness, because even this world needs something else. You can tell me where an event happened, but without time, you cannot tell me when. Space and time form spacetime. 4 dimensions. And this is where reality begins to fight our intuition. Time is not universal. Motion affects elapsed time. Gravity affects elapsed time. The satellites your phone uses for GPS require connections for relativistic effects. And near a black hole, those differences can become extreme. It's measurable physics. We begin with a line. 4 dimensions later, even time no longer behaves the way it feels. Maybe that's the first lesson of the dimensional ladder. Reality does not have to be intuitive just because we evolved inside it. And physics didn't stop at 4. 4 dimensions already took us beyond intuition. And physics asks one more question. What if there is another direction we simply cannot see? In the 1920s, Theodore Kaluza and Oscar Klein explored a 5-dimensional model where an extra spatial dimension could be compact, curled into a scale too small for us to notice. Imagine a garden hose from far away. It looks like a line, forward and backward. But place an ant on its surface and another direction appears, around. The direction was always there. It was simply too large to resolve it. Hidden doesn't always mean concealed. Sometimes it means unresolved. And decades later, that idea would return in a much deeper theory, string theory. Instead of treating the fundamental ingredients as point-like particles, string theory proposes tiny, one-dimensional strings. And here, the violin returns. Pluck one string and it can vibrate in different models. Same string, different patterns. In string theory, different vibrational states correspond to different particle states. Not proof that everything is some mystical vibration. Something far more precise. One underlying structure can produce different physical states, but for superstring theory to work mathematically, it requires 10-dimensional spacetime. 9 dimensions of space, 1 of time. We don't experience those extra dimensions. Within these theories, they can be compactified into geometries far too small for us to perceive. And somewhere between 5 and 10, our imagination reaches its limit. we can no longer picture what the mathematics can describe. Perhaps that's the second lesson of the ladder. Something doesn't have to fit inside the human imagination to fit inside mathematics. And 10 wasn't the end. By the 1990s, physicists had discovered that several different string theories were deeply connected. Different mathematical descriptions could sometimes reveal the same underlying physics from different perspectives, like explorers mapping the same mountain from different sides, different maps, same mountains. Those connections pointed toward a deeper framework. M theory. An 11-dimensional framework, 10 dimensions of space, 1 of time. And now strings weren't the only structures in the mathematics. There were higher dimensional objects, brains. Imagine living on a single page of a book. To you, the page could feel like the entire world, but someone holding the book sees something you cannot. The page exists inside a larger structure. Some theoretical models explore a similar idea, that space-time could behave like a brain within a higher dimensional space. We don't know that our universe actually works this way, but now remember the sphere. Passing through the two-dimensional plane, the creature never saw the whole sphere, only the slice intersecting its world. So if higher dimensional structures exist, a lower dimensional observer might not experience the whole structure, only what its world allows it to encounter. That's not evidence for interdimensional beings or hidden realms. It's simply what the geometry asks us to consider. It began with the creature that couldn't imagine round, and somehow mathematics carried us from that line to 11 dimensions. I thought that was the edge of the map, until I realized something had been missing from every dimension we explored. The line, the plane, space-time, the strings, the brains. All of it was being observed. And nowhere on the ladder had I placed the thing doing the observing. The observer. The thing that had been there from the beginning. Someone imagined the line. Someone watched the sphere cross the plane. Someone measured time. Someone wrote equations for dimensions they could never see. And right now, someone is listening. You. But here, we need to be careful. Physics doesn't prove that consciousness creates reality. Nothing we've explored proves awareness exists outside the brain. But every human observer does encounter reality through limits. Your eyes see only a thin slice of the electromagnetic spectrum. Your ears hear only part of the acoustic range. Your brain doesn't simply receive an untouched copy of the world. It processes, selects, and reconstructs what reaches you. The creature on the line couldn't experience around. The creature on the plane couldn't experience the sphere in full. And we cannot directly perceive many things we already know exist. Radio waves, microscopic structures, gravitational waves, the curvature of space-time. We needed instruments and mathematics to extend the reach of our senses. Every observer encounters reality from somewhere, through something, within limits. And that changed the question for me. Maybe there are two architectures we are trying to understand. The architecture of reality, space, time, matter, fields, and the architecture of experience, perception, memory, meaning, and awareness. Somewhere in the history of this universe, matter became capable of asking what matter is. And I wanted to keep climbing, 11 to 12, but I couldn't pretend physics had taken me there. It hadn't. There is no accepted 12th physical dimension called consciousness. What comes next belongs to a different map. So perhaps the question we should carry forward isn't whether human perception has limits, We already know it does. The question is where those limits end and reality continues. From here, physics remains the ground beneath us, but the map changes. And we turn toward the thing that has always been here all along, the observer.